Bringing hope to many around the globe. Transforming lives into legacies. Living Word with Pastor Mensa Otabil. And now, today's word.
I'm speaking on the topic, how to work towards your targets. How to work towards your targets. I believe that you are not just expecting a new year, but you are expecting new things to happen to you in the new year. You have fresh ideas, some things that you couldn't achieve this year, you are expecting to achieve them next year. Some things you achieved this year, you want to get to a higher level with them next year. But every new year presents us with new opportunities to dream afresh, to have new goals, to have a new vision, and to set new targets. And I'm going to teach on how to work towards those targets so they don't just become a dream in your heart, but they become something that becomes achievable in your life. Please stand with me in your Bibles to Luke's Gospel, chapter number 14, and we will read verses 28 to verse number 30. Luke's Gospel, chapter 14, verse 28 to verse number 30. And we're going to look at something that Jesus said. It was a parable, but out of that parable we learn lessons about how to achieve our targets, how to meet our targets, how to fulfill the targets that are set before us, and work systematically so that our targets in life are met, especially your targets in the coming year. Let's hear the words of Jesus. For which of you, intending to build a tower, does not sit down first and count the cost, whether he has enough to finish it, lest after he has laid the foundation and is not able to finish, all who see it begin to mock him, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. I pray that that will never be said of you. That nobody will come mocking you and saying, this man was able to begin but couldn't finish. May God help you to both begin and to finish the assignment, the desires, the dreams that he has placed in your heart. I'm going to take you through a process that I have derived from this scripture that helps us to work through our targets in life. The first thing you want to do in order to work towards a target is to establish your intentions. Establish your intentions. Jesus says, which one of you intending to build? There has to be an intention. There has to be something, a desire, a goal, a dream, a vision, or something that you wish would become a reality. That is your intention. All of us have intentions. And I suppose if I ask you, what are your intentions for next year? Some of you will say, well, I want to go and do my master's degree. I want to finish my master's course. Or some of you will say, well, I want to finish my first degree. Some of you will say, well, I want to build a new house, or I want to buy a land, or I want to marry, or I want to start a new business, or some intention that you have. All of us have got intentions. So Jesus says, you start with your intentions. Tell the person next to you, establish your intentions. Okay, how do you establish your intentions? To establish your intentions, you must be clear about the vision God has given you. Your intention must not just be self-centered or man-generated, or generated through your own will and your own desire. It must be something birthed within you from God. Because if it is a God-given vision, then it will have a God-given provision. God provides for the vision that he gives. And you have to be sure that what you have in your heart is not just something you want to do to please yourself or to compete with somebody or for you to just make a name for yourself, but something that is of God. If it's of God, it's going to be beneficial and it's going to be meaningful to everybody. And once we receive our God-given vision, we must be clear about it. We must be clear and we must be firm about that God-given vision. For everything we want to do, there are different things that motivate us. I suppose if you tell me I want to marry next year, I'll ask you, why do you want to marry? Some people will say, well, it's because all my friends are getting married, so I have to marry. Some will say, well, I'm growing old. What should I do? I have to marry. And some will say, well, life is becoming boring. I have to marry. And some will say, well, I believe it's my time to get married. And I just believe in my heart that I'm at the right time in my life when I must get married. I can say of all the reasons, the last one will be the most appropriate. You have to sense in your heart that something is appropriate. The time for something to happen has come. A season has come for you to accomplish an intention. And that's one of the ways for you to determine whether your intention is self-made or is God-given. So be clear that the intentions you have are from God. Secondly, when you are clear that the intention you have is from God, you have to eliminate competing desires and intentions. Eliminate competing desires and intentions. When you are sure of the vision to pursue, you must be focused. You cannot use the same energy and resources you have to pursue two different goals. So eliminate some goals. And that's one of the things that is very important, because many times we start with too many things we want to do. You have limited resources, but you want to do about 3 different things that will cost you a lot of money. You want to buy a land, you want to buy a car, you want to be able to marry. Now, from what I hear, weddings are quite expensive enterprises now. Girls, is that true? Those of you getting married? But from what I hear, it's quite expensive to do weddings. Is that not so? How much does it cost? About 10,000 cedis? 50,000? 15,000. Okay. Now, if your intentions are you want to buy a land, you want to marry, you want to buy a car, and you have 15,000, and the car is 15,000, and the land is 15,000, and the house is 50, and the car and the land is 15,000, it simply means your resources are limited. And if you're not careful, you will do things in pieces and end up never doing anything completely. So when you know the intentions that God has given to you, eliminate competing intentions. Eliminate some desires. Some things must be rescheduled. You have to push them to the next year. Or you put them on the background and say, well, I'm going to believe God for extra funds. And if he gives me extra funds, I'm going to use it for this second project. But you don't put all the 3 as number 1, because if you do that, you will compete with the resources that God has given to you. You would never have unlimited resources. All of us have got limited resources with sometimes unlimited desires, and we have to learn to manage them well. So you must go through all the things you want to do and eliminate some of them. Take them out, postpone them, reschedule them, and some of the things really you may not be the one who is supposed to do it. In the Bible, there's a very interesting story about David. David wanted to build a temple for God. He actually had the resources, he had the opportunity, and he intended to do it. And so he said, I'm going to do it. And the prophet says, go ahead. It's all right. Go and do it. But then God spoke to the prophet and said, go and tell David, it's good that he intended it, but he's not the one to build it. Solomon is going to build it. That simply tells you that sometimes you are not the one who fulfills the intentions of your heart. Sometimes you dream a dream and somebody fulfills your dream for you. So you have to learn these things, that not everything you want to achieve will be achieved by you. Some will be achieved by your children. Some will be achieved by your grandchildren. Sometimes you dream not just for yourself, but for your children as well. And so it's important to know what can be achieved today and what has to be pushed to the next year, the next 5 years, or the next 10 years. So eliminate all the competing desires and intentions. Thirdly, in order for you to establish your intentions, you must understand the various stages leading to your desired vision. Understand the various stages leading to your desired vision. Every dream goes through stages. Dreams are like human beings. They go through the stage of conception when you conceive the idea. They go through the process of gestation when the idea begins to grow in your mind, in your heart, in your spirit. And for some of you, you are gestating. You are pregnant with an idea. But then there is the birth of an idea. And then there is the nurturing of an idea. There is the growth of an idea. There is the maturation of an idea. And there is the fruit-bearing stage. So if you start something, especially if you're starting something that must give you results, you may not see immediate results. And sometimes because people don't see immediate results, they get discouraged about what they are doing. It's like giving birth to a child. You give birth to a child and you say, well, I've given birth to a child. He must start school. And your child cannot start school at birth. Neither can your child walk at birth. You have to be patient to wait for the child to walk, for the child to be able to say, mama, baba, da. And then they go to learn A is for apple, B is for ball, and C is for cat, and E is for elephant, and Z is for zebra, and all of these things, before they start putting words together. And that process, and one day they become a professor. But you have to wait and let them go through the stages. Even if God told you your child will be a professor, they don't become a professor at birth. God can give you a great vision, but great visions are born small. And when they are born small, don't rush them. Don't push them for great success. Because if you do that, you will jump some stages and kill your idea before it becomes a reality. Some of you who want to start businesses, it takes a long time for a business to be strong enough to take care of you. And many times when you start a business, within the first 5 years, it may not give you anything. Most businesses will start breaking even after 4 years, financially. Some start breaking even after 5 years. And then it starts making profit 5 years later. Then it makes enough profit for you to be able to earn something reasonable. So if you start a business the first year, you make money and you think money is coming, you go and take money out of that business, you kill the future of the business before it has a chance to live. The same with every idea. You work it slowly, you work it systematically. And it gets to a point where it bears fruit naturally and it's able to take care of you. So understand the various stages that the intention will go through. If you want to buy land in Ghana, you know that you're going to go through a stage called litigation. It's a peculiarly Ghanaian stage. If you're going to buy land in Ghana and the land costs about 5,000, you have to prepare for 20. Because when you buy it from one family, a nephew will pop up his head for his share, so you have to pay him off. And somebody else will come and you have to pay them off, because in Ghana, no one person owns land. It is owned by all of us. And the moment people smell money, they're going to come to you. So you have to understand the stages that for this intention I have, there are some things that may pop up there that I have not anticipated, so plan ahead for it. So establish your intentions. The second thing that Jesus tells us to do is that we must evaluate the cost. He says, which of you intending to build does not sit down first and count the cost? Evaluate the cost. Everything has got a cost price. If you want to have great marriage, it's got a price. I see a couple who have just married. God bless you. The wedding is good, but marriage is challenging. And you have to learn to pay the price. Part of the price is to learn how to be quiet, how to be silent, how not to insult, how not to respond back, how to cut back some friends, how to introduce some new friends, how to make sure your family does not interfere in your relationship, how to make sure your mother who took care of you knows that you've entered a new stage in your life. All these things you have to count the cost. Because if you don't count the cost and you just want to go into the marriage because you want to come down the aisle with your nice attire and hear nice music and go out and people scream, don't do, and that's all you're looking for, then you're going to have a very miserable existence. There's a price to a great marriage. No good marriage comes easy. Even if you marry an angel, you'll be in trouble. Because the angel is perfect and you are not perfect. So you're going to have problems. Even if you married the most beautiful person or the most handsome person, you're going to have problems because everybody thinks they are beautiful and handsome, and jealousy will start working somewhere in the marriage. Even you have the wealthiest person, people are going to make demands on their time and their money, and the person probably will think because they have so much money, they can buy peace and they can buy happiness and never invest truly in the love relationship of the marriage. So no matter who you marry, you have to count the cost. Every business, every enterprise, every idea has got a cost price. I always say, when you go to the shop, you want to buy something, and it happens to me. You want to buy a shoe. You see the shoe, and you see this one goes with my feet. Have you ever seen a shoe that goes with your feet? You just see the shoe standing on the shelf, and you say, this is mine. And you see it, you look at the top of it, and if it's a good shoe, it's nice leather, and everything is nice, the cut, the shape, and everything, until you turn the shoe upside down. That's when the trouble starts. You turn the shoe upside down and you see some little numbers there. And when you see that, you know, when you go to a shop and people, they turn it upside down, you look at their face and quietly, they put the shoe back. Then they move on. And sometimes they move on and come back. And then move on again and come back. What they're telling you is their intentions are good. But the cost, because there's a cost price to every intention. I don't know what intentions you have, but it's going to cost you something.
Thank you for listening to Living Word. To interact with Pastor Mensa Otabil, like his page on Facebook. Follow him on Twitter @Mensa Otabil. Email otabil@centralgospel.com or call +233 302 688 000.